Good afternoon. This is my one live audience member. I heard on the radio the other night that if you run at least 50 minutes in a week, you increase your probability of living longer. I don't know about you, but I would like to live longer. So to go ahead and help out with this, I'm going to go ahead and discuss low intensity, high volume training and how it's important. Points that we're going to cover is identifying the rise of high volume, low intensity training, the 3 practical methods of measuring intensity within a workout, finishing up with how you can take this information and apply it to your workout plan as a recreational runner. The sources that I relied on for a majority of my information were 2 articles from the International Journal of Sports Physiology and Performance, 1 article from the Journal of Sports Science, and the book 80-20 Running written by Matt Fitzgerald. Dr. Steven Sealer was the individual that discovered the concept of polarized training, which is emphasized around low intensity. And this was discovered during a 2004 study of Norwegian rowers from the 1970s to 1990s who had won Olympic and world championships. And according to Dr. Sealer, they documented that over 3 decades, training volume had increased about 20% and become dominated by low intensity volume. So this is emphasizing the rise of low intensity. To look outside of rowing to the other endurance sports, Dr. Sealer found a study from 2001 done by a French exercise scientist by the name of Veronica Ballat of marathon runners. According to Matt Fitzgerald, Ballat collected training data from elite male and female marathon runners from France and Portugal, and she found that they did 78% of their training at speeds slower than their marathon race speed. This exemplifying that approximately 80% of their training was done at low intensity. Now that we see that this concept is applicable to running, we're going to see on how you can apply this and how it's applicable to recreational runners. But before we do this, we have to cover the 3 practical methods of measuring intensity. The first method is perceived effort. Perceived effort is simply how you feel the amount of effort you are placing into the workout. And according to Matt Fitzgerald, you use perceived effort to establish the appropriate intensity at the start of a workout or workout segment. Then, utilizing the other 2, in which we will discuss, you continue the workout. The next method of measuring intensity is your heart rate, utilizing a heart rate monitor. The heart rate is highly encouraged when you are conducting low intensity training because you are more worried about the zones in which you are running in. One other thing that you need to understand about your heart is it's individual. So it's going to be different from a different runner. So you want to make sure that you're not trying to base yourself exactly off of somebody else. All right? And the third measurement of intensity is pace. Pace provides immediate feedback on the amount of work that you are doing. It is very effective in building a competitive nature, as well as they highly suggest that you utilize pace during high intensity workouts. And understand that high intensity workouts are only going to be done for about 20% of your workouts. Now, knowing what the 3 methods of measuring intensity are, we can now look into how it's applicable to recreational runners, you and I. The opportunity presented itself to Dr. Steven Sealer to conduct a study with a Spanish coach by the name of Jonathan Estevillano, where they took 30 runners, broke them up into 2 groups, one conducting the majority of their training at low intensity and another group conducting their training at high intensity. Understand that these runners were average runners. They weren't professionals, they were just average runners. And they had a heart rate monitor to measure that intensity. Now, just like anybody else, some of them didn't keep to the exact workout. So with that, according to Dr. Sealer, due to the variation in an actual execution of the training plans, we also identified subsets of athletes in each group whose training intensity distribution was mostly high zone 1 orientated, and their mean improvement of performance was 7% plus or plus or minus 3.6%. This meaning that those that stuck to the low intensity side of training showed the most improvement in running. Matt Fitzgerald talks in his book 80-20 Running about a man named Juan Carlos who was struggling with his 10K PR time of 52:30. According to Matt Fitzgerald, after a week of slow and 11 weeks of 80-20 training, he lowered his 10K personal record to 48:47, an example of how low intensity can be effective. Finally, I have a personal friend by the name of Edwin Muzo, who was a cross-country runner turned triathlon, and the way that he was training was different to how his coach started having him do the 80-20, and he informs me that over a period of time that this 80-20 had lowered the opportunities for injuries, increased recovery, as well as made the relative workouts enjoyable and effective. Now, understanding all this, we summarize here that we discussed the rise of low-intensity, high-volume training, the 3 practical methods on how to measure intensity in a workout, and how this can be applicable to you, the recreational runner. Leave you with a little bit of professional advice. According to Dr. Sealer, athletes and coaches do not need to know much exercise physiology to train effectively. They do have to be sensitive to how training manipulations impact athlete health, daily training tolerance, and performance, and to make effective adjustments. And to sum that up for you, Rome was not built in a day. Stay disciplined, stay motivated, know that it's going to take time, but results will happen, and keep running. My live audience member, thank you for your time.